Excellent. Yeah, PANGAEA. PANGAEA, or if you say the full name, PANGAEA Data Publisher for Earth and Environmental Science, is a data repository. So we archive, and publish your data. And PANGAEA is an institution that is hosted by actually two other large institutions, as the Alfred Wegener Institute in Bremerhaven and the Marum at the University of Bremen. And you often on the right side, kind of a view of our starting page. This is what you see when you get in contact with PANGAEA. And what you don't see there immediately is that we are actually certified by the Core Trust Seal, which is a really high standard certification for research data management, which also ensures that we make our data or your data that you publish with us is accessible via the search engines here on the landing portal, but also we run a data warehouse where you can access data across the whole repository, and also offer other tools like scripting tools to access the data. Some figures. We have a more than 30 years experience, a professional experience in publishing data. So it goes like really long way back to 1994 when PANGAEA was founded. And since then, we have published more than 420,000 data publications, which amounts to about more than 26 billion data points in total. It's very, as you can imagine, very difficult to actually quantify this. Over the time, also more than 800 projects have worked together with us, and so this publication rate over the years, as you can see in the graph on the right side, has steady to average publication rate of about 10,000 publications per year, which is really outstanding. If we look at what PANGAEA is actually publishing, you can also see this actually right when accessing our landing page, where you can see in this squares here, which areas from environmental science and earth science we are actually covering. So this is the thematic fields where we accept data from, but the actual types of data that we are accepting and publishing is, as you can see here, it's like tabular data. So we are working with data matrices coming from environmental time series, but also from like sediment samples or biodiversity, nutrient samples, everything that comes from that field. And we have a very long list of data parameters where we can that we can use to archive your data in the best possible way. But we also accept binary files like images or netcdf files, videos that can be then added to the publications. What we don't publish is also put here on the slide on the bottom. So model data, nucleated data, software code are not in our focus, but this is something that Flavia will get in detail with a little bit more in the next presentation. So who are we? PANGAEA, the working group consists, always like all around like between 30 people. So staff is mainly from Marum and Avi, but we also work a lot with associated partners from that are mainly data editors from, for example, GeoMar or the Max Planck Institute, UFZ, ZMT, to name just a few. And they are working very closely together with us on the data curation and publication process. But we are also working with associated research projects on all different levels, from national to EU. We have then people that are really in PANGAEA, but working really attached to the project and taking care of all data management taking place in the project, or that needs to be performed in the project. And most of the time, these are also funded by the projects. So you have a work package in the project that is actually rededicated to research data management, which really makes a lot of sense because as I continue now on this slide to show you that, and you also, as a scientist, come across that quite often in the recent past, that the funders that are funding your research are actually, yeah, having data management, data publications also as a basic requirement for funding your research. So this is something that should always be taken into consideration when drafting a project, that in the end the data will also need to be published, and in a way that in the best way is really that, yeah, following the gold standard of fair publications, where we'll come back to in a minute. So concerning data management funding, there are increasingly possibilities for funding research data management on all levels. So EU is, as I said, is kind of also expecting this. So in this project, iAtlantic and Summer, which just recently actually finished, we we had dedicated data management work packages in the projects, and that also led to a very successful publication of the research data that was generated in this project. So there are more than 200 data publications already now coming out of these projects, and this is distributed or they are accessible widely over the internet, and this is yeah, it's also adding to the success of the projects, of course, and to their legacy. On the national side, it's also increasingly that you have opportunities because there's a broad change in data management culture, and this is at the moment really strongly promoted by the DFG-funded National Research Data Initiative, which is, yeah, aiming to connect or yeah, bring data management to the forefront in the scientific progress. So the point that I actually want to make here is at the bottom of the slide, really always apply for funds to cover data management and publication costs in your research projects, because in the end, this is something that will and is already mandatory to include into your projects, and will also just really increase the legacy and the success of your project. Yeah, and while you publish your data, please publish your data fair. What does fair mean? It's a term that floats around all around the scientific community. It means that data are published in a way that they are, after publication, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And it has been defined in the guiding principles publication, summarized by Wilkinson and colleagues. And yeah, according to their principles, the data also have to be machine readable, because of course we want to make them fit for the future. And yeah, in Pangea, this is possible. You can publish your data in a fair way. But why should you publish data in a fair way? Yeah, there are different levels that I just want to now introduce to you. So there's the level of the society. Yeah, what are benefits that society gains from you publishing your data in a fair way? Fair way. Um, I cannot get in detail about all the points because you will see they will constantly increase from level to level. But I want to just yeah, highlight two of the points here. So open data can play a role in guiding government policy very clearly. Yeah. So if the data is accessible, then it's much more easy for policymakers to actually access this information and make their decisions. Also, transparency and the accessibility of the data increases public trust in science, which is really clear. I mean, it's a public discussion. Tax money goes into funding research, and yeah, where does the results and this information go? If they are transparent and accessible, then it increases trust in the public much more. But there are also benefits on the level of the research community, of course, if you publish your data in a fair way. For example, if there's access for the reuse and for the reinterpretation of your published data, that is then greatly facilitated. Yeah, because that is the final goal, of course, to have your data being reused and serving as a basis for new research. Also, it strengthens the scientific community by allowing replication of experiments. This is also something that you don't have to redo science. It is already clear that these certain results were already generated, and you can build on these to strengthen your own research. And of course, it improves the robustness and the veracity and therefore the impact of the research results. So it makes it, it makes your research better, to put it boldly. And you see the list gets longer and longer. Now, these are the benefits for you or for every author of data that publishes data in a fair way. Just again, to mention just a few striking ones here. If the citations of the published research articles that you base this data that are based on the data that you publish, there's clear evidence that these citations will increase by about 25%, which is really significant because in the end, I mean, and which is also very clear because in the end, you can write and do so much more with data than with one research article. Also, of course, as a researcher, you gain greater recognition and reputation and from these data publications, and as people can look into your work more closely, and this will, of course, then lead to or can lead to new collaborations between you and your colleagues. And also, publishing the data ensures that anyone that is in the end or was involved in generating the data actually receives the credit that is deserved for this, because a data publication can be structured in or can be composed of authors much more differently than the resulting or one of the resulting articles. It is basically focusing on who generated the data, who analyzed the data, who was responsible on the data publication and generation and publication level. And this can be very much different from the paper publication. Yeah, because in the end, the coolest thing to do with your data will be thought of by someone else. Yeah, something that was put out by Rufus Pollock, and this is has become really the key quote in publishing data fair, and it is very true to the present day. So yeah, why should you publish your data fair with us? It's quite obvious. I mean, there has been a recent study by the European Commission that shows that PANGAEA has the highest fairness score of all research data repositories in Europe. And we offer you a structured database with really the finest data comparability and interoperability functionality, kind of the gold standard of data curation and then publication. We are to a certain degree also cost-free for individual scientists. So also always a little bit dependent on how much data volume you want to publish. There's some information on this in our terms of use. And also, yeah, we offer expert support and quality control of the metadata and during the publication process. So we have really dedicated and experts for all the different areas that we cover that get assigned with your data publication and that will help you in the publication process and guides you and work on your data until you get your TOI. Also, we make the metadata accessible to various portals, services, and also by different search tools, which in the end, yeah, leads to a very wide dissemination of your publication and visibility of your publication. And this is something that I also wanted to follow up on now, because as PANGAEA has this long record of professional experience, we have grown and also connected with more and more of the then follow-up developing services. And so our metadata are very fair. So they're very findable and accessible all over the internet. And we're working on this also, of course, according to the FAIR principles. This is a graphic that basically shows just a few of the major services that we are connected to, where you can find data and also your data, of course, when it is published in PANGAEA. And I wanted to just give you a very quick example of how this could function. So I'll just pick out two of the services. So Google becomes more and more also the search engine for data. And I want to compare this to OpenAIRE, which is a really comprehensive directory of not only data, but also all types of scientific publications and projects and so on and so forth, and where everything is cross-referenced and archived, and where you can also find most of the published data sets, not only from PANGAEA, but from all other repositories. So just to give you a quick example, this is a landing page of a data set published in PANGAEA. And while my colleagues will go through this with you in the next presentations, I just wanted to show you how you could use the services that we are connected to search for this data set. For example, this is a published data set. It has a DOI. It has a different its own metadata set. So if we pick out the title and look into it and look for some topical terms in there. So stable isotopes, for example, sediment core is very clear topical terms in the title that you can search for. But also further down the page, you have the projects that this data set is associated with. And one of these projects is iAtlantic. Yeah, so the project acronym iAtlantic. And if you just take these terms and plug this into Google, you see that this data set pops up as the first hit in the normal Google search. So you can probably even enter less of these terms, but you get there immediately. And also on the other side, the right side, you see also that that these terms lead to hits in OpenAIRE, and also it's just the second hit basically in OpenAIRE. That shows you or will direct you directly to this data set. And so that shows you how well connected we are to the services that are used for data search and archiving, cross-referencing. And yeah, it's a really an asset that has built over the years, and that is something that should really make you choose us to publish your data.